Well, hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome back to Race Talks Uncut. I'm your humble host and servant, Charles Jackson, and I want to welcome you back for another week of meaningful, courageous conversations. We tackle each week connecting across racial differences by tackling those tough topics and really embracing diverse cultures. I'm on a mission to help us connect better. The things that are foreign to us, the things that we lack understanding, the things that we've even feared because of our lack of knowledge. I want us to lean into those things when it comes to various race conversations and connecting across those differences. That's my mission. And your racial interlude for this week starts now. I'm going to pass the mic, like I always do, to a courageous change champion. They help us unpack culture and systemic racism. We talk about the racial disparities and different heritages because we need to lean into it so that way, again, we can better relate to those in our communities, in the workplace, and even sometimes right in our home. We're adding another layer to the conversation this week. We have heard the saying, children are our future. It's almost said sometimes probably without thought, and it can be sort of cliche, but I want you to know that children are the future, the young generations that are coming up behind us. But what happens when a child is denied the love and support and stability of a comfortable, loving home environment? Imagine an innocent child waking up every day not knowing if the house that they are in is going to be the last time that they're in that house because they're getting ready to be moved yet again. I'm talking about children who find themselves in the foster care system. And if you follow us on social media, you saw the post. If you're on our mailing list, you got an email from us today leading up to this discussion, because just think about it. I think sometimes we take for granted, for those of us who are fortunate enough to be raised in a home environment where we have one or two of our parents or even a blood relative, the familiarity, somebody that is actually connected to us through a bloodline that is concerned about us, caring for us and treating us as if we were their own. We might take that for granted. And our guest today is going to help us unpack some of the trauma associated with that child that's in the foster care system that is being tossed around, having all their belongings in a duffel bag or a book bag, not knowing if the next house that they go into, that caregiver, that guardian, that parent figure is going to be abusive verbally or physically, if they're going to hug them, if they're going to speak life into them, if they are actually concerned about their well-being, or are they just a product of the system and they are just taking advantage of the income that comes along with being a foster parent. All of those things we're getting ready to tackle. I want to welcome all you to the chat who already are there. I see hashtags Race Talks Uncut already. We haven't gotten to the giveaway yet. That is what's up. I want to welcome all of our faithful returning viewers. And if you are new, welcome to Race Talks Uncut. Charles Jackson Media is bringing this conversation. If you're not already connected and you haven't subscribed to the channel that you are on right now, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and do that so you can stay up to date with what's going on. So let's talk about my guest today. Today, I'm going to sit down with Antonio Grate. He is a very dynamic speaker, very dynamic young man, very passionate young man, an educator, a minister, a husband and father of four, a man who I have so much respect for and so much in common with. And I was honored when he said yes to come and speak to us today on this particular topic. He currently sits on the board of Shoals CASA, CASA, which is Court Appointed Special Advocate. That's a nonprofit organization that works with volunteers who advocate for children who have experienced abuse or neglect. And this is near and dear to him because of his own personal experiences growing up in one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in Chicago, watching his mother struggle with drug addiction and then going through the foster care system himself. That's why that mission is near and dear to him. But through his own personal and dynamic story, Right now, he's traveling virtually and in person. I get to see him on Instagram doing his thing, sharing strategies that will help at risk students and adults win inwardly first and then outwardly. And his tagline is be grateful. It's a message that is designed to bring hope, healing, restoration, love, and victory in the lives of his audience. That is the man that we are getting ready to sit down with. Already hashtag Race Talks is in there, so folks know about our giveaway. Subscribe to the channel. Be ready for the giveaway. We're going to give away some merchandise today. But without further ado, I want to go ahead and bring my guest, Antonio Grate, who is backstage, up to the stage so we can get this conversation started. Here we go. Antonio, my brother, welcome to Race Talks Uncut. How you doing, sir?
Charles, hey man, listen, bro. You just took me through a range of emotions. One minute I wanted to cry, next minute I'm just ready to jump through the phone, man. Like you took me, you took me on a roller coaster ride right there, man. But listen, I am ecstatic and so excited to be here, bro. I appreciate and I salute everything that you are doing, and I appreciate and I salute your mission, bro. Much love for sure.
Man, I want to just say thank you again for accepting the invite. Thank you for carving out the time. Thank your lovely family, who we'll see pictures of here later, for giving you to us this evening. The Race Talks Uncut family, we thank you and we salute the work that you are doing, that we're eager to hear more about. So you saw the topic tonight: unpacking the trauma plaguing kids in foster care. Before we get into it, Antonio, I shared a little bit of your bio, but help the folks get to know you a little bit by telling us not just what you do. That's an easy question, I think. Sometimes when people say, oh, what do you do? I want to start here, man. What purpose are you currently walking in and carrying out, and how is it that you're doing it?
Well, that's a that's a great question, because I think purpose is something that many of us, are kind of struggling to identify.
Hmm.
But here over the past several years, I've started to tap into my purpose. I think it's a ever evolving door
Oh, yeah.
that comes with understanding and things of that nature. But nevertheless, my purpose is really to touch those individuals who have gone through similar circumstances that I went through in my
Mm,
life, and to touch them in such a way that they believe within themselves that they can actually win despite the circumstances and the obstacles that are before them.
come on. Come on, man. How long you been on this path? How long have you been doing that?
But I've been doing this about 4 years now.
Absolutely. And you do that through Antonio Great. That's the name of the organization, right, that you lead. And it's you. You are the brand. You are the man. You're the one that's out there on those highways and byways, as we say. You're in the streets. You're in the schools. You're in the churches. You're in those areas where folks are struggling, and you're going in and you're bringing powerful messages to them. Is that correct?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
100%.
man.
You nailed it.
Wow, man. I don't want to waste any time. I want to get right into this. I want to welcome all of those to the chat, to the broadcast. I like to call them our live audience, even though we are virtual. What's going on? We see JP High Tech Reviews. We see Samara is in the house. Welcome everybody to the chat on Facebook, YouTube, and this broadcast is also going out to our Roku TV channel. Let's open up right here, man. You talk openly about your journey as a kid in the foster care system. Can you give us a glimpse into what that life was like for you?
Most definitely. I like how you put that, what that life was like for me, because I really believe that every child has a different journey
Hmm.
when they enter into the foster care system. And for me, uh, I was in kinship living. And kinship living is really being placed with a relative, whether that's a grandparent, aunt, uncles, whatever it may be, just a relative to try to keep you connected to your family.
Okay.
But nevertheless, even though I was still with relatives, there were certain things that existed, right? And some of those things that existed was a simple fact that I felt neglected. I felt unloved. I had
Mm,
these internal things that I began to struggle with. Anger was one of them. And during that time, as a kid, I don't understand, why I'm upset. I just know I'm hurt, basically. I know that I'm not with my mother. I know that I'm not in the environment that I'm used to. And trying to understand why and deal with the new environment was a big adjustment. And within myself, I struggled with a lot of various emotions.
Mm. Okay, so you talked about the feeling of being unloved, unwanted, sort of that alone, isolated, abandoned. Let's talk about that feeling of being abandoned. Did you wrestle with that a lot?
Absolutely, because man, and this is the thing that has me so passionate to speak to youth, because what I realize is that what my challenges were was also a lot of challenges of youth today, and that's
Mm-hmm.
internally. That's really trying to process what's going on within your own mind, within your own heart, within your own spirit. So absolutely, I wrestled with abandonment because I had questions. Why, basically, why was like the main question. Why? And it was like no matter how many times I asked the question why, I never had an answer. So over time, you have to try to come up with your own reasoning and
Mm.
things of that nature. And sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't. But nevertheless, that disconnect, that separation is huge.
Yeah. How is it though that you can be around people and still feel abandoned in the foster within the context of the foster care system? Can you speak to that? Because there's people
Yeah,
around you. I mean, there's kids around you. You even if it's relatives, that you are like in your case, or if it's strangers, like there's people around you. So what does that feeling of abandonment come from, in your opinion?
it, it's it's kind of crazy, but I think the simplest way is that when you know one thing and yet you're blindsided by being removed from the thing that you've grown to become familiar with, that's a big transition. Like
Mm.
that's a big hurdle. And that within its own confines is tough. And that's why the foster care system really strives to try to keep children connected to parts of their family instead of putting them with complete strangers, because they understand if they can kind of stay connected to some forms of relatives, then that helps them better process what it is that they're going through. That helps them better process their struggles and their hurdles and things of that nature.
Hmm. So when you're going through your own personal experience, and you kind of told us some of the things that you were going through and the thoughts that you were having, what those thoughts, was there anybody there to speak something different from the negative thoughts that you were having? Was it you kind of vacillating between I'm good, I got purpose, and then I'm nothing, that's why I'm abandoned, I'm not going to be anything? Like, how was that playing out? And we're going to hold for a second to see, like, you having some okay, he's back. How was that kind of playing out? Did you hear all of my question? Like, were you getting somebody
Yes,
to
sir.
speak anything different, or what was going
Yo,
on with you? Who was
yo.
feeding you?
Hey, hey, Charles, listen to me, bro. I had to feed myself, man. And that
Okay.
and that and I'm telling you, that experience is what has made me who I am today.
Okay.
Because I had to find a way to feed myself in the midst of the insecurities. I had to find a way to feed myself in the midst of the unknowns. I had to find a way to feed myself in the midst of the heartbreak. I had to find a way to feed myself in the midst of the despair that I was dealing with and faced during those years. I had to find a way to do that. Was it easy? Heck no, man. It wasn't easy by a long shot. It was a struggle, but I was intentional about. I'm gonna say it this way. I was intentional about being grateful. I was
Okay.
intentional about trying to find the silver lining, trying to find something positive in the midst of my darkness. I was intentional, and by me taking that approach at a very young age, it literally helped me to navigate the situation and circumstances that I was dealing with.
Wow. Wow. All right. So we're about to get into how that is even possible here in a second. A lot of what we talk about here on this show, and a lot of what fueled me to sit down and start writing my book that you and I have talked about and put this show together, were some of the injustices that the Black community face, some of the disparities in terms of how we are disproportionately represented in certain areas. One of them being the foster care system. I was listening to reading a book and going through some of the notes from a book. It's called Shattered Bonds. The author's name is Dorothy, and I even heard on a podcast talk about how Black children specifically are taken from homes at higher rates than the other racial groups. Now let's backtrack a little bit. Before are taken from homes at higher rates because the narrative is that Black women are not fit to raise their children. The children are in dangerous situations. They're being neglected healthcare wise, or there's drugs around, abusive or whatever. That's kind of the narrative when I was doing all my research and I'm listening to Miss Dorothy talk. So they were moving us from our homes at higher rates. 50% of Black children will have some type of encounter with the social service system. Not that they would be removed, but they would be watched, they would be interviewed. There's some type of encounter. Back in the day in slavery, it was Black women need to have as much kids because their slave owners needed that work. They needed somebody to till the land. They needed somebody to pick the cotton. So the more children Black women had, the better for their slave owners. They were forced to have children, right? And then there was a law that said they had no right to those children once they were born. So they were taken away from them. You see where I'm going here? The children were taken away from them that they were forced to have, sometimes by rape, right? Now we fast forward, Black mothers still aren't fit to keep their kids, and Black children are being taken out of their homes at higher rates. Doctors are reporting neglect and abuse in the Black community at higher rates than they are with other groups. Why is it, or how is it, that an individual like you can land in the foster system, go through it the way you've been going through it, ripped from your home, with in-laws, but you're still feeling isolated and abandoned, knowing that that system is in place. And then now you go into places to speak to children, understanding that they're up against that type of system. How do you do that, man?
Man, you just said a whole lot. The one thing I would like to say about what you just said is the fact that when you look at the population in the United States of America, when it comes to white children, they make up about 50 to 51% of the population. But then when you look at the percentage of those same white children between the ages of 18 and under in the foster care system, they make up about 44% of the population within the foster care system, right? And then you begin to look at the numbers of African Americans within the United States, and we make up about maybe like 25%, somewhere around there. And then you look at the numbers in the foster care system, it's up there in the 20%. So I think I need to make a correction. I think it's like 21% in the population of the United States, and then about 25% in the foster care system.
Okay.
And when you just kind of begin to just kind of look at those numbers within itself, you're like, my goodness, those numbers aren't very high for white children, but they're extremely high for African American children. So I just wanted to add that to touch on to what you were talking about in regards to the system. So what I do is, because I know my lane and I want to stay in my lane, I have to kind of bypass all of those things. I have to have tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm.
And when I speak, especially when I'm speaking to the foster youth, I'm focused on them.
There you go.
I'm strictly focused on them, and I'm focused on what they're dealing with internally. And I want to begin to plant seeds to highlight things that they're dealing with, because I've dealt with a lot of those same emotions, and shed light to them, because I want to hopefully open them up from a place of being caged in. Mm-hmm. When you're dealing with all those emotions and challenges as a kid, most of them don't know how to cope with it. That's why you see a lot of kids acting out in school in various ways and different things of that nature, because they're dealing with issues within themselves that they don't understand how to cope with. So when I'm speaking, I want to touch on those various things that they are possibly dealing with internally, bring light to it, but also say, hey, here's a way out. And guess what? There's a way out of your situation, and you, despite of what you're dealing with, despite of how you're feeling, you can overcome those things. Mm-hmm. And you can live a victorious life, meaning that you can live a successful life. Because we know that many kids, when they age out of the foster care system, are not assets to society. They
Right.
become liabilities to society. You
Right.
know, they end up going to prison, not graduating college, and different things of that nature. And I want them to see and know and understand that they can be an asset to society.
Man. So despite the system, if I'm hearing you correct, despite the system, despite the odds that are against them, you're going in there. You're not going in there with despair and gloom. Like, yeah, you're just in a system that you're doomed to fail. You know, just hold on for the ride, and maybe you'll come out on top. You're not even. You're going in there, and you're bringing life. You're bringing power. You're bringing encouragement. You're bringing hope to a very naturally hopeless situation. Because as I said earlier, we all long, Antonio, and you'll probably agree with me. The one thing that we all humans have in common is that longing to belong and be accepted. We all want
Absolutely.
that. We all want to be accepted. So much of what we do, getting dressed, live streaming, going into work, getting the cars that we do, volunteering, a lot of it actually is to feel like we belong and be accepted. We don't want our differences. We don't want our skin color. We don't want any of that stuff to make us feel like we are not a part of society in a positive way. And so you're going into very hopeless situations where these children have been ripped from homes. They don't have their mom. They don't have their dad. And unlike you, not even their aunts and their grandmas and uncles. They have these strangers, bro, that are now supposed to raise them and rear them up like their own. And you are going into those situations, you're bringing life. I want to show something. I don't even think I told you I was going to do this, but I want to see if I can show this clip, man. I want to see if I can get it to play. You know how technology does. Sometimes it'll do what you want it to do. Sometimes it won't. But let's see here.
Yeah, I believe it's gonna work this time.
It's going to work. It's going to work. All right. Y'all can see that. Antonio, you can see that, Antonio?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's see what happened. I play. You can hear?
I don't hear it.
No sound. No sound? You didn't have any sound?
No sound.
All right, so I'm gonna work on the sound, but I'm gonna play this clip when I get the sound to work. I'm gonna come to you for a second. All right, so
That's good.
yeah, I want that clip to play. So I'm gonna give me a second.
Okay.
I just want that to play. Talk
One
us
thing,
through.
one,
Go ahead.
yeah, one thing I like to add to what you're saying about being accepted. One of my initial struggles was the embarrassment of knowing the situation that my mom was on drugs and knowing that I wasn't with my family. I was with other relatives, aunts and uncles and cousins and things of that nature. So because I was with my cousins, I had a cousin that was like a year or two younger than me. And I will always tell myself like, yes, when people would ask who she is, I would say, yeah, that's my cousin. But I would intentionally leave it at that. Like I wouldn't add anything else to it because
Mm,
I didn't want individuals asking more questions as to, man, why you with your cousin, or why you living with your cousin, things of that nature. And it was simple, man. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed because of what my mom's situation was. I was embarrassed because of my situation, being in foster care or being in kidship and things of that nature. And that was one of the biggest things for me that I
wow,
never share with anybody, but internally, that's something I carry with me all the time.
wow. Because you didn't even want to open the door for the conversation.
Exactly.
Wow. Because you knew the questions were gonna come, or the looks, or whatever. Wow, man. So
Exactly.
what, I guess I'll ask you, what did you ever get over that while you were in foster care system? Did you ever get to a point that you were like, you know what? No.
Nope. Nope. I never got to it. I never got to it. You want to know when I got to it? When I made the decision to actually start speaking.
Wow.
That's when I got to it. And I'm gonna tell you how I got to it. I got to it because when I began to reflect upon what I've been through, what I made it through, and where I was, then it was like I can talk about it because now there's no shame in it.
Yeah.
Now there's no
Right.
embarrassment in it.
Right.
Now I'm telling you that, yo, you can walk on top of that embarrassment. I'm telling you that you can walk on top of that shame, right? So it was at that point when I began to say, you know what? Let's go. Let's go.
Wow, man. All right, let's see. I want to go back to this clip, man. I needed this to play. I really do. Can you hear now?
I can't. I don't even see it.
Okay. No, you can't see it yet. Hold on.
No
Sound or no?
volume. No
No
volume.
volume? Man. Okay.
Man.
All right. I wanted them to hear that, brother. You said,
Yeah.
okay. You said something in that clip that I wanted them to hear. As you're talking, so I'll tell them what's going on. There's various
Okay.
clips of Antonio talking, different places, different youth groups, different organizations. And you said something in one of those clips, man, that you said, my environment showed me what I should become, but my
Yeah.
dreams showed me what I would become. And I'm going to be honest with you. At first, I was like, whoa, that's powerful. Like, that is powerful. That's what I said first. But then I said, hold up. And I'm going to go to a spotlight on you right now. But then I
Let's
was
go.
like, wait, so what you're saying is my environment is showing me one thing, but my dreams is showing me something else, what I could become. And I was thinking, can we really dream beyond what we see in front of us? How can we dream beyond this gloom, despair, everybody else going through family after family, everybody else going through the juvenile system, everybody else never having a forever home? How do you dream? So I guess my question is, how can you dream beyond what you see? How did you do that? What do you tell people
Ooh-wee.
when they practically ask you, yeah, Antonio, you don't know what I'm dealing with, man. How can I dream beyond what I'm seeing that tomorrow I'm gonna wake up in another house and some more family to try and learn?
Yo, let's go, man. You got me too excited right now. Listen, I'm gonna say it like this. It's in your darkest moments when you're all alone, you're all by yourself, is when you can actually begin to see the brightest. It's in your darkest moments where you really have the opportunity to see the light. And that's when the dreams begin to manifest. And I'm gonna say it like this too. Sometimes in life, sometimes it's like it's not so much about what you want, it's more about what you don't want. It's not so much about what you want. At times, it's more about what you don't want and what you don't like.
Mm,
Because guess what? It's in those moments where you clearly are able to identify what you don't like and what you don't want. And
wow.
when you are able to do that, then it opens up a door and a window for you to begin to identify what you do want. So guess what? I lived in a toxic environment, man. I saw a lot of
Mm-hmm.
different things. And the things that I saw as I was looking out my second floor apartment window, the things that I saw as I was walking through my neighborhood were the things that told me what I didn't want in my life.
Wow.
It was those things. And slowly over time, then I began to identify some of the things that I did want. And I didn't have a long list, bro. I didn't have a long list. You want to tell you, I can tell you right now what my list was.
Go ahead.
My list was not to go to jail.
Okay.
My list was to live to see 18 or 21. Because in my neighborhood, statistically, they said 1 out of 4 black males by the time they reach 18 or 21 were going to be dead or in jail. That was my dream. My dream was that simple, not to go to jail and live to see 18 to 21.
Wow. So what age were you at that point? Help us out with that little bit of context. What age were you at this point?
It was a process, right?
Okay.
So, and when I say it was a process of it was all of it didn't happen at one time, right? At certain ages, I was like, man, I don't agree with that. I don't like that. But it was really as a teenager, 15, 16 years old, is when I really began to have tunnel vision and say, listen, man, I'm so close right now.
Mm,
And whatever it takes, I don't want to fall into that category because I'm close to that age. I'm close to 18 right now. I'm in that age. I'm 15. I'm 16. I'm 17 years old, and I'm so close. But I have to do whatever it is it takes to hopefully keep myself out of those situations and circumstances.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, man. Because that statement rocked me, but then I was like, how in the world do you do that? So I had to ask, man. Yeah. All right.
Can I add something
go
to
ahead.
that? Your dream is also associated with your why, right? Your why is your reason for doing what it is that you're doing. So my why was my reason for living. My why was my reason for saying no to games. My why was my reason for not doing anything illegal. My why
Mm,
was my reason for pushing through the hardship, for pushing through the pain, for pushing through the difficulties. My why was associated to my dream.
wow. I shared something the other day. I'm glad you said that. You and I say all the time we're aligned in many ways. But I was speaking with somebody who was ready to quit and ready to give up. And this was a message for me because it came to me after I had the conversation with them. So I felt like it was me first and then for them.
Mhm.
But I say when you get to that point that you're ready to quit, you're ready to throw in the towel, you're ready to say that this situation that I'm up against, there's no defeating it. This is a giant, this is a Goliath, whatever. This is an insurmountable odd. When you get to that point that you're ready to quit, ask yourself why you started to begin with. In
Yes.
your case,
Yes.
ask yourself, what's the why? What am I trying to obtain later on? Because if the why is valuable enough, it'll give you what you need to keep going. If it's for the right reasons, if it's not selfish, if it's not, something that is vain and in those lanes, when you're ready to quit, ask yourself why you started. You'll probably find the strength that you need to keep going. And the things that you have to overcome to get to that end goal won't even compare to the
Yes.
joy that you have once you actually obtain the goal. And that's what I hear. That's what I hear you saying in that statement, which is why I think is really powerful. I'm gonna pause for a second, man, in this discussion because this show is definitely something that we're proud to say we have sponsors backing it up each week, and we're gonna pause real quick to hear from our premier sponsor, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna continue this conversation. Antonio, how does that sound?
Sounds great.
All right.
Hello everybody, my name is JP Hatek. I am the founder of Content Creators University, and we are proud to be sponsoring Race Talks Uncut with Charles Jackson. For those of you who do not know me, I am a branding expert, cinematographer, and software developer. What I do is help businesses, entities, individuals, ministries, and so forth have a better impact with high quality visuals in regards to graphic design, professional videos, or even high quality live stream. So after 12 plus years in the industry, I've decided to open this digital master school. So what we do is every single week, we connect with one of the best minds and professionals in the tech and content creation industry. What they do is come on the platform and teach us how we can have a better value proposition, elevate our craft, and keep impacting with our creation. So if you're the type of person that want to keep growing, as we know, technology is the industry that is always evolving. Come and join me every week. Go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, JP High Tech Reviews, or simply visit my website, jphightech.com, or better yet, go ahead and download the Roku TV or Fire TV application. Simply look for JP High Tech or visit the contentcreatorsuniversity.com for more. I am excited to connect with you and see you there. Bye-bye.
All right, we are back. Back for part 2 of this discussion with my man, Antonio Grate. If you are just joining us, we are talking about and unpacking the trauma plaguing children and kids in the foster care system. And our guests have been taking us through some of his personal journey and story, growing up in Chicago and then going through the foster care system, his mindset, things that he was struggling with, being abandoned, feeling unloved, and how he was able to overcome those things. And now he's going around speaking life and encouragement and pulling other children in the foster care system out of those, I guess, mental states of despair and hopelessness. Even if their environment doesn't initially change, he said it's about our mindset. And so I want to thank our sponsor, JP High Tech Content Creators University, for sponsoring this show. If you haven't already, each week, JP has been one of our sponsors, so you should be connecting with this individual. They help us make Race Talks Uncut what it is, with all of these visuals and overlays and everything that you see. Go and connect with him on his platform. So that way, if you're any type of live streamer, if you're in the multimedia, whatever you need, one of our partners, we are grateful for their sponsorship. But I want to go ahead and bring Antonio back so that we can continue this conversation. Mr. Antonio, welcome back.
Yes,
so before,
yes,
man, you said some powerful stuff there, and I really appreciate you taking this time to speak to us. What I want to go into now is, because we hear all the time about children in the foster care system getting involved into, unproductive or criminal activity, unhealthy lifestyles, right? They're not positive contributors to society. And I was reading stats on how children in the foster care, and I think you even said it, are much more likely to get involved in the juvenile system. And what got me is, so if I'm feeling unloved, I'm feeling abandoned, I really don't know what's going on with me. I feel like these people that I'm with don't really like me. They're just collecting the check each month because I'm in their house. And then when I act up, the first thing that they do is call the police on me. My mom would probably love me, come pull me in and lean into what's going on, give me a counselor or something. But the first thing they do is call the police. So I want you to help us understand the link, though, between the lack of foundational love and support and how it can lead to, a child involved in reckless or criminal activity, especially within the context of being in the foster care system.
It's tough. It's tough to deal with anyone that is broken, and that's what we're talking about. That's why we're talking about trauma. Trauma is a form of brokenness. Trauma is a form of an issue that issues that individuals have. And the thing about it is, many youth in foster care are dealing with some form of trauma. The extent of the trauma varies, but nevertheless, there is
There's
trauma
trauma.
there. And when you're dealing with a child that has undergone trauma, it takes a very unique individual to be able to love that individual in the way that that child needs to be loved. It takes a very unique individual to show patience to that child in the way that they need it. Because what you have to understand is, this isn't an overnight thing. Like, more than likely what they dealt with didn't just happen. It was something that happened over a process of time. And the healing that needs to take place is not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a process. And unfortunately, we never really know when that healing is going to manifest. But if you, the foster parent, the kinship parent, if you can be intentional with sowing good seeds, then in due time, we believe that the seeds that you are sowing will begin to flourish in the lives of the youth.
Say that one more time, that last part. If you, as the parent, can do what?
Sow good seeds in the lives of the youth, then I believe in due time that those seeds will begin to flourish.
Yeah. The importance of that person to speak life, to speak something different, that's what you do, but we need more people doing that, because if not, it's not that it's inevitable, but that puts the child on a path to get involved into reckless behavior and stuff, right? And yeah, and we hear it all the time. Instead of saying what is it underneath the surface that's going on that's causing, I mean, we see it in relationships, you know, all the time. We see the outward expressions of the anger and the frustration, but we never pause to go deeper below the surface to lean into what it is that caused that reaction to the situation, whether it's a child or an adult. And to me, somebody in the foster care system, a child in the foster care system, would have that level of, I guess, grace or support, or, you know, have somebody that is aware of that, and not just go calling the police, or not just go sending them out of the home, putting them in another home saying they're bad, they're unruly. They're wrestling with a lot of things. And let's get into that right now. They're grappling with psychological and physical trauma. That's the harsh reality of a lot of kids in the foster care system. Am I correct? Psychological
Absolutely.
and actual physical trauma. As a mentor, what are some of the tools and tips and talks you give to youth to help them? Because I saw on your site, you got a couple talks, you know, you got them labeled, and just the title is good enough for me. I can take that and go and feel empowered. But talk about those tips that you know, provide those in the foster care system through your speaking engagements.
Man, you know, it's kind of crazy because this is what I've learned. I've learned that youth specifically, they want to be heard. They want someone who's going to listen to them and actually hear them. Because what has happened in their lives, they've been saying things, they've been doing things, but unfortunately, they really haven't been received. And in all honesty, all of us as human beings want to be received, regardless of who it is. If it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, if it's a mother, if it's a father, we all simply want to be received, because when we are received, then that's the way that we begin to become validated. So one thing, or one of my main approaches when I'm talking with youth, is letting them genuinely know that I receive them. I receive them right where they are. I receive them in spite of everything that they've been through and what they're going through and all of their mistakes and all of their ugliness, whatever it is, I receive them, and I'm here to simply help them. No ill intentions whatsoever, and that's one of my main approaches when it comes to it. And then over a period of time, I start dealing with triggers, helping them identify some of their triggers, helping them identify strategies to help them handle various situations in a more successful way. Because oftentimes that's what it is. Various situations come up, and the decision that they make when that situation happens at times isn't the right decision. But if we can
Mm,
help them start making better decisions in the midst of those situations, then what will happen is they will begin to win in the midst of those things. And that's what I want them to do. Listen, I'm not saying that they are going to be a NBA star or lawyer or anything of that nature. Listen, I'm sure they can if that's what they want to do. But to
right.
be honest with you, most of these youth that are in the foster care system, they are consumed with where they are right now. They are consumed with that. And I want to speak to them where they
Mm.
are, because if I can somehow lighten the burden where they are right now, that would give them the motivation, that would give them the hope, that would give them the inspiration to push and go further just another day.
You said they are consumed with where they are. A lot of adults, we do that. We find ourselves being consumed with our current state, current situation. Um, my one of my previous guests, and I think I saw her in the chat earlier, Lanita Holston. She's
Yeah.
another educator speaking to youth and empowering them just in a different way, but sort of the same space. She said that we need to expose children to bigger things and more than what's just around them and what they can see initially, so that they can dream bigger and start to think bigger. And so that's, I see both of you saying the same thing, that it's in their minds and in our heads, we're only going to just see so much. But being able to open up their eyes and their aperture to more, getting them to see beyond, I'm a foster child. Even for you, like that embarrassment of walking around like you got the red S on your chest or something, the scarlet letter, walking around not wanting to tell people you're in the foster care system because of everything that's negative that you feel like associated with that. You're saying, don't just see where you're at and think that that's all you are and that's all you're going to be. There's more. There's more. There's another part to this. There's another part to your story. And you're saying, you're telling them to take control of that part. And it starts with their mind. Is that correct?
Man, that's 100% correct. You nailed it. You nailed it. And I like what it, hopefully I'll get their name. Was it
Lanita.
Lanetta? Lanita.
Lanita.
I like what she said because that's so key. And I'll tell you my quick story. I grew up in the ghetto of Chicago. And when you're in the ghetto, man, like the crazy part about it is you kind of operate in a certain circumference
Okay.
in your neighborhood. And I was about 8 years old, and I took a trip outside of my neighborhood. And the reason why I took this trip because I was going to one of my relatives' swimming party. And
Okay.
I never been to a swimming party before. I didn't even know how to swim, but nevertheless, that's where I was going. And something happened as I rode in the back seat of that vehicle, as I began to leave my neighborhood and enter into her neighborhood. I began to notice something. I began to notice that the grass that was in front of those houses didn't look like the grass that I was used to. Okay, let me be more clear. It didn't look like the front yard that was supposed to have grass that didn't have grass. It didn't look like the front yard that had the bottles and the trash cans and the drug baggies and drug needles and stuff like that in the front yard. It didn't look like that. It was green, plush grass. And as I sat in the back seat and stared out the window, I was literally blown away. And I said to myself, I said, you telling me there are people who live like this?
Wow.
You got to be kidding me. And at that moment, my mind was blown, my mind was open, and it told me that there is more than what I'm seeing every day. I was never the same. I was never the same. Yet, I took a trip for a swimming party, but I got something much greater than that form of entertainment. I got an awakening that was just life changing for me.
Woo. Man. We, if I was the type, I would stop the show right there. Man, that's so powerful, man. So powerful. Some of our viewers may have turned their house into a forever home for a foster child. Some may be considering, to take that journey. And so what are 3 essential things that you think they should know about a child in the foster care system?
3 essential things. I think that, for one, I think that they may have to put their agenda to the side.
Mm,
And then for 2, I think they need to know that they're going to be faced with some challenges, and at times it's probably going to seem pretty daunting.
yeah.
Yet, if they can just hold true to one main thing, and that is
Sounds like I'm losing you, Antonio. Okay. We're coming back. You're starting to. I don't have audio just yet, so don't start preaching, brother, because I don't have your audio yet, if you can hear me. Hold on. It says that your audio is good, but we're not hearing you. So check your audio, and if not, I'll go to a solo shot and I'll have you call right back in. Yeah. So I'm going to have Antonio come back in. His audio is going in and out. I don't want him to keep talking and we miss anything that he's getting ready to say. So to recap, one of the things that he just said that I felt like was just profound, and it speaks to not just the child that's in the foster care system, but also the parent or the guardian or the caretaker who wants to take on a child, bring them into their home, and do it the right way without causing any further damage. Like, you have to be intentional about it, and you have to know that it's not going to be easy. And I have Antonio in the backstage. I'm gonna see Antonio, are you able to hear me? Okay, I still can't hear you. If you are still with us, Let me know if you can still hear me at least, and you can still see me while I try to get Antonio to reconnect. It says he can hear me, but I can't hear him. So we're gonna let him try to go out and come back in. But if you're gonna go down that road to be a foster parent, and then hopefully maybe even bring them into your home, you have to think about the fact that it's not going to be easy, and you have to think about the psychological damage and everything that's going on with the child as well when you bring them into your home, understanding that they've been in a tough situation. They've gone through a lot. So let's see if we can get them back. Okay. Folks are saying that they missed a lot. Let me go to the comments and see what's going on here. Give us a second, folks. Let's work through these technical difficulties. See what is going on. If you can hear me, let me know if you can hear me, first of all. So if you're with us live, give me the thumbs up, some emojis to let me know you can hear me while I work on getting Antonio back. You can hear me and see me. So if you're with me, let me know if you can hear me and see me. Antonio, you're backstage. You can hear me? Okay, you can hear me, but I can't hear you. Let's see what's going on. So for the folks who are live, I'm waiting. I know there's a delay. Let me know if you can hear me and if you can see me. I saw someone in the chat say that I'm spinning. So let me know how my connection is. And then I'm going to go back to that last question. And Antonio, I still don't have any audio for you, sir. Let me make sure I'm checking all my settings. I appreciate your patience, everyone, for bearing with us here. On the road, we're going to try to get this conversation back. I don't want to have to exit out and come back. But I will if I have to, because I want to get all of what my guy has to say. Okay, so Zanette, Brian, can you guys let me know in the chats if you can hear me, see me, or if I'm still spinning? Might have been a connection issue that I'm trying to make sure has been taken care of. Right. Give me 1 second here. Did you mute yourself? It says that your mic is muted. I'm showing a little mute sign next to your mic. All right. So technical difficulties tonight, like through the roof for some reason. I think we had a bad connection. The bad connection dropped out our audio. So thank you for all those who are saying that you're able to hear me. I was working backstage to try to get Antonio back. He's going to jump on another device and come back through here in a second. So while he's doing that, I think we can go ahead and turn to our giveaway. So if you're still with us and you are wanting a chance to win some merchandise, we are going to give away some merchandise right now. I am wearing tonight, can you see that? Our Connect Challenge Crush Racism shirt. We will be giving away our Connect Challenge Crush Racism cap tonight, though, to a lucky person. So go ahead right now, if you're on YouTube, in the chat, hashtag Race Talks Uncut, drop it in the chat so that way you can enter. We'll start the drawing behind the scenes. Everybody that drops hashtag Race Talks Uncut in the chat will be entered. And we'll pick a lucky winner tonight to rock some of our merchandise. Let me show you what it looks like. Get a screen share real quick. Go to a screen share, pull up the merchandise. While I also work to get our guests back. Got to be able to multitask out here in these live stream streets, folks. And understanding that technology doesn't always do what we want it to do. But we're not going to quit. We're going to keep moving. Right. So our feature item for tonight is going to be our ball cap. Antonio, I see Antonio now, but I don't know if he can hear me. Antonio, I can see you and I can hear you now if you're there.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So let me get this shot off so we don't see your finger. So if you want to set your camera back up right now, I can actually hear you. And it looks like your audio is coming back into the broadcast.
All right, let me see something. Because I'm connecting.
Oh, you're connecting on
trying
your...
to connect my laptop.
Okay.
Let's see which
All
one
right.
works.
So
all right, let's see.
Let's show you this merchandise where Antonio gets situated. Let's go back to our screen share. All right. So in the chat, hashtag Race Talks Uncut. For those who are still with us, if we haven't lost you completely, on YouTube, so that we can get you entered to get some merchandise. We got two variations of the cap. We got the all black, and then we got the black and gray. So hashtag Race Talks Uncut, so that way you can be entered into our giveaway. Hashtag Race Talks Uncut. I'm waiting to see if it pop up. Everything says that we are live. I'm still seeing us live on YouTube. So, but I don't see the chat moving yet. Maybe a delay with folks getting there. Hashtag Race Talks Uncut. I see thumbs up that you can hear me. Looks good now. Can see your be right back banner. Okay, so we just have to wait for folks to catch up to where I'm at. We may have to bring Antonio, back for that part too. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I got you on the screen on my laptop, but
All right, so we're going to have to end and unfortunately come back in because we're having a whole bunch of lag right now. All right, so we're going to end and we're going to come back, give folks time to jump back on. So if you haven't already, let me see if Antonio's still there. Wait, before I do that, let me see if he's still here. Muted mic. Check one more time. Antonio, are you there? Can you hear me? Are you able to hear me, Antonio?
check. I can hear you. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
I can hear you. I see you. It's a little bit of
Yes, I can hear you.
delay.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yes,
It's a little bit of a delay right now.
I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, I see Rach
Uh,
Talks Uncut starting to pop in the chat. So there's folks still there. Appreciate your patience tonight.
they still
Definitely.
here.
Yeah, we are still here. So let me bring you back. Actually, I'm gonna have you hang up and connect one more time from that same device that you're on right now, just to see if we get over the lag that we have. Okay.
All right.
All right. So I see one person, Ray Stocks Uncut, in the chat. Let me go here, see who that is. Got Gina Martin. Waiting for the rest of you to catch up. Maybe you're trying to catch up to the broadcast. The broadcast was delayed. If not, we're going to have an automatic winner tonight, which is going to be easy if nobody else enters our drawing. But to bring everything back, we've been talking with Antonio, and he's been sharing about the trauma. He shared his personal story. He's a motivational speaker. He goes in and speaks to children in the foster care system and empowers them. He shared some of his tips, practical tips with us. We're getting ready to have a discussion, if we can get him back on, about what the foster parent can do. What about those who are thinking about fostering a child and bringing them into their home and giving them a safe space, an environment to learn and grow in. So I must try one more time to see if I can get Antonio back. If not, we'll go ahead and announce our winner, and I'll let you go. But let me see. Antonio, you there? Right, he was back there. I saw him for a second, but all right. So I do want to thank, looks like we have Gina Martin, our winner for tonight. Congratulations. You will be getting some of our Race Talks Uncut Connect merch. As I said earlier, it's going to be our ball cap. We got 2 variations, Gina, that you'll get to choose from. So congratulations on that. And again, I want to thank everybody for hanging with me while we worked through the technical difficulties, and I tried to get Antonio back on so that he could finish the powerful discussion we were having. But no worries. We will definitely have him back to finish this conversation for a part 2, because it's much needed. It's much needed. And he was sharing a wealth of knowledge, and we don't want any of that to get lost. And so because we're having the challenges right now with the audio, we may have to go ahead and end the broadcast and schedule another time for him to come back. Hopefully he shared enough and you've seen and heard his heart enough for you to come back and hang with us. But he's there. We're not able to get the audio to sync up right now. So I do apologize about that. But thank you all, as always, for tuning in. Thank you for hanging with us. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for working through the technical difficulties. Thank you for being here each week and helping us keep these conversations going. As I say always, we have to continue to connect, to challenge the status quo, and together crush systemic racism. Race Talks Uncut has a team behind us that's bringing us these amazing conversations every week. And so as we wrap up, you'll see the credit screen rolling, giving them their due credit. I thank all of the team that is bringing us this amazing show and content each week. And we'll see you all back next time for Race Talks Uncut.